It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Cork the Kid.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom from movies, comics, TV shows, video games. We got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court.
Hi, I'm Dad.
Come on, man.
Gotta get my dad jokes out now.
How's it going, man?
It's going good. I've watched 75 trailers within the last 3 days is what it's felt like, so.
Yeah, we got a ton of trailers, so this is going to be kind of a catch-up episode where we talk about a bunch of news, and then we talk about these 4 massive trailers that we got.
You're probably thinking to yourself there were only 3 massive trailers.
You'd be wrong.
But Barbie has something to say about that.
Yeah, so we got the trailer for Marvel's Secret Invasion, starring Sam Jackson. We got a trailer for Blue Beetle. A trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and of course the trailer for Barbie. So that's
you asked me which one I'm most excited for.
Which one are you most excited for?
Come on, man, you know which one.
They all definitely have piqued my interest, I would say. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about for the bulk of this episode. Just kind of talking about those trailers, talking about what those movies and shows could be looking like, and you know, just kind of what they represent for their respective kind of genres and what they represent for their type of media going forward. Especially the Barbie thing is very interesting because, as we've talked about, it's going directly head to head with Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer.
Insane.
And it doesn't seem to be... And it doesn't seem like any of those are moving. So definitely seems like we're definitely on a collision course. But before that, we definitely got quite a bit of news to get through. So Deadpool 3 casting has kind of been hot and heavy, and we got a couple of returning actors. So I didn't write their names down. Do you have their names?
You fumbled. Well, it's the cab driver.
Cab driver, yep.
I hate to reduce him to just the cab driver because well, you want to talk about complexities of a character, you look at him. He just wanted to be a hero so bad. But he just happened to so get Deadpool as this guy that could have been his entryway.
Karan Soni. So he is coming back as Dopinder, the cab driver, and that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think these like these are going to be cameos, no? Like I feel like these are just going to be a couple seconds because I think they're going to be too bogged down with other things.
Yeah, and then Leslie Uggams, who was Blind Al, obviously is returning also, and then I forget the actress's name who played his girlfriend, but she's apparently been in talks to come back.
Oh, Marina Baccarin?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she's apparently been in talks to possibly return also in Deadpool 3. So
I mean, her getting killed was like the crux of Deadpool 2, so...
Yeah, and then her subsequent undeath at the end of the movie is apparently going to be the crux of what Deadpool 3 is about, is the TVA kind of coming after him for messing with multiple timelines as shown in the Deadpool, the end of Deadpool 2 with the post-credit scenes.
Yeah, Mobius is at the new TVA like, what the heck, man?
So that's cool. I mean, you know, this Deadpool movie, I think a lot of people obviously are excited for it because it's a Deadpool Wolverine movie and it's going to be basically just...
It's like Deadpool mixed with Loki.
Yeah.
Which is just nuts.
Yeah.
So, Deadpool and Wolverine mixed with Loki. So I think you're going to... That movie could turn out to be like what Doctor Strange people wanted that to be is what I think this movie will be.
Yeah, that definitely seems that way. It definitely seems they're going to go just really bombastic and really just pretty much over the top. And it's going to be R-rated. It's going to be part of the MCU. So it's going to be definitely an interesting kind of time for that to come out. When it's coming out, what, next year, right?
Next year.
Man, it feels like it's far away, but I mean, just doing this podcast, you realize how fast these things come. So... We got some more Wonder Man casting. So Demetrius Grosse has joined the cast as the Grim Reaper, not the guy swinging the sickle in the cloak. The Marvel character, the Grim Reaper, Wonder Man's brother, which makes sense because it's a Wonder Man show. So obviously, Grim Reaper is, probably the villain.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be an amalgamation of how these projects do. You have the one corporate villain, and then you have the one you have the actual powered villain or non-powered, but the actual superhero to supervillain antithesis villain. So I think that's a solid addition. I don't know what the show's going to be yet. I have a feeling this show's going to have possibly a little bit of a lighter tone. Probably going to have a lot of fun. I could see something akin to maybe an amalgamation of Moon Knight and Miss Marvel in the way where I don't know, it might this whole TV idea might mess with us a little bit as well too. So I think this could be pretty interesting, but tonally, I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. I think that it's going to be probably a little bit closer to Miss Marvel than it is to I don't know what Secret Invasion looks like it's going to be. So.
Oh yeah. That's for sure. Because we'll talk about the Secret Invasion trailer, but this definitely feels like it's going to hopefully kind of really dial in on that kind of TV. Hollywood star aspect of Wonder Man, and introducing. That's what the best thing you can say about these Disney Plus shows, in spite of maybe their flaws, is the fact that they are able to get these kind of really lesser known characters kind of into the mainstream. So it's probably going to do that for Wonder Man and Grim Reaper. So moving on. So Netflix has officially ordered a Scott Pilgrim animated show, and surprise, surprise, all of the original cast from the movie is back to do this, which is really, really cool. So, it's a laundry list of actors. It's a tremendous cast. So obviously Michael Cera, Chris Evans is coming back, Brandon Routh is coming back, just everybody's back for this. That's really cool in my opinion. Obviously Scott Pilgrim had that anime kind of flair to it. So,
and you want to talk that, and then if I go even deeper in that, in terms of The Boys, Invincible, all these other non-superhero, the Umbrella Academy, the Marvel and DC stuff, Scott Pilgrim was one of the first ones of that, on that wave too. So I think that's super cool that, they're throwing it back to animation. I know Invincible's been, overly, praised as being one of the best animated, superhero shows ever. So can't wait to see what they kind of do. And I'm actually quite surprised the voice cast came back.
Yeah, everybody.
Yep.
Which is crazy. So that's really awesome. Scott, like you said, Scott Pilgrim versus the World was really a unique kind of project at the time when it came out. Just perfect mixture of kind of anime with live action with video game elements too. It was really cool, really unique. It's definitely, I would say it's a cult classic kind of film.
Yeah, yep.
For sure. And Michael Cera's making a comeback.
Yeah, Michael Cera also is in the Barbie movie, so we'll get there.
We got some Star Wars news to talk about. So David Lowery of the Green Knight fame has joined the Skeleton Crew as, again, another one of these kind of one-shot directors that they're doing with these Star Wars shows now. The Mandalorian has done this, Skeleton Crew now doing this. We talked about the Daniels getting on board with an episode, and now David Lowery also getting on board with the Skeleton Crew. So that's pretty cool. Pretty sweet that they're getting kind of these really well-known directors to dive in here.
And not only these well-known directors, these award-winning directors, and these are directors that are heralded as the future of filmmaking. I think that's something to be said. What is this project is the next question. And a big thing I could say is I'm glad this project's taking place after Andor, because you can tell that they're going to kind of let the creators of this show kind of cook, essentially. They're going to let them be free, and being free is, allowing your director's visions to be, fully realized. And I think you don't go get the Daniels who made, the Best Picture winner from last year, and you don't get David Lowery, who in the present day is one of the best at fantasy right now. He's one of the best fantasy directors you can find. I think that's a good amalgamation. I think this show's going to be it's going to be weird in a good way. It's going to be this weird Outer Rim story with these kind of kids, this young adult Outer Rim story, which I think is going to play well with a lot of audiences. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, we talked about this when we talked about kind of how do you quote unquote fix Disney Plus. I mean, Andor is the model. I feel like I think every project that gets started should have a poster of Andor in their writers' room and be like, this is what we want to do. Maybe not tonally, obviously, because then you don't want everything to feel samey. But in terms of structure, in terms of tying all your episodes together and into like one coherent narrative and making things not feel so wheel spinny, which I think. Honestly, the Mandalorian's kind of suffering from right now this season. Andor's the model, I think. So if these projects that are now getting off the ground can kind of take anything from Andor, I hope it's that. And when you get these kind of prestige directors on board to do these shows, I mean that comes with a level of gravitas that you really can't ignore, and you can't afford to create anything lesser than something really, really great. And so Donald Glover has been talking about potentially doing something with Lando Calrissian again, probably in like a Disney Plus show capacity. I'd be into that.
Yeah, I have one ask from the Star Wars. From the Star Wars.
From the Star Wars.
Let him do it. Let him do the show. I think that might be the best you can ask, because I told you before we hopped on, he's really getting into, like, I feel like where he's at in his life, he's like approaching where Jordan Peele is, like, in the fact that, like, Jordan Peele, what Jon Favreau did with his career, like, he was in stuff, and he still was in stuff after the fact, but he found what he's great at, and I think he's one of the best writers that you can find nowadays. And I mean, Swarm has been critically acclaimed already. I mean, Atlanta is one of the most acclaimed shows over the last couple of years too, and those are both, obviously Atlanta was a collaboration, but Swarm was a lot more, his love child. So I can definitely see them being like, all right, if Billy D. Williams is cool with this, like, obviously you'd probably ask for the blessing, but hey, what would be cool? Imagine if, like, Billy D. Williams, like, narrated the show, but it was, like, the event, like, it was, the escapades of Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. That'd be really cool.
That would be awesome.
I do think my main point is I think you should give him the reins to do it. I think he should write it. Maybe get a team, obviously, so keep continuity, but you should let him write it and kind of let Lando be like a scoundrel. That's exactly what Lando is. Let him be like this space scoundrel, and I think, with Donald Glover's writing style, you can really play that well.
Yeah, and as kind of popular and as revered as the character is, not a ton of screen time.
Nope, not a ton of screen time too. And I think also it's not to say you scrub what the Rise of Skywalker did, but to your point, I think Lando needs a little love. Like, I think that would be cool if we're getting all these characters that have their runs some love. Like, why can't Lando get his own show and, like, follow up? Maybe get Alden Allright or whatever.
Alden Ehrenreich?
Yes. Yep. Baby Obadiah Stane. Baby Stane. Why don't you get him to be? Throw him in the show for an episode or something. Like, I think that would be you're mastering the CGI of everything. You throw Luke in there for an episode. Like, I think this show might be a backdoor way to get a lot of, cameos in there, a nice bit of potential. Andor's got it right. So, like, maybe kind of, like you said, it's not the tone that got, and I mean, it was, but, like, it wasn't the tone necessarily, it was the structure. So, if you're going to do it, no more of these 6-7 episode, like, let's do a tried and true show. I just know budget's tough. It's a tough ask. So
yeah. But no, I think that'd be cool. I think there's a lot of interesting stories that you could tell with that character. It could be a fun romp adventure kind of story.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Let Donald Glover cook for a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. Moving on to some gaming news. So E3, which was once kind of like the bastion of gaming, as far as it was, the biggest gaming conference in the world at one point. It's the one event that kind of everyone looked forward to every year. Really took a hit in 2020, obviously with the pandemic, kind of derailed it, and it has not since recovered and will not recover because it has been officially canceled this year. I mean, for a myriad of reasons. Obviously, the pandemic kind of carved the path. This was already kind of happening, but the pandemic really carved the path for these studios and for these companies to kind of do their own sort of stuff. So, I mean, PlayStation had already opted out. Obviously, Microsoft had opted out. Nintendo most recently opted out because they're all doing their own things now. And then, you know, with the fall of E3 gave rise to one man in particular, Jeff Keighley, who obviously was best known for doing the Game Awards at the end of every year, but since the pandemic, he has taken over the summer as well with Summer Games Fest. So it's really, there's just no room for E3 anymore, to be honest with you. PlayStation, as I talked about, is going to unveil their kind of quote-unquote Phase 2 later this year in May. I think they wanted to do it before June. So
right, I think they probably also want to get a Spider-Man trailer. I mean, for the last thing we're going to talk about today, I think they want to get a trailer before that movie comes out. But you have some big IPs that's going to get missed out on. But I think, like you said, it's going to give the studios that are making the thing more time to actually be the ones to announce these projects. I mean, E3 is a great conduit, but I mean, there's something to be said about you being proud enough to display your product to something else. So, yeah, like Spider-Man, I think Ghost of Tsushima 2 is probably going to get announced there too. I wouldn't be surprised if we get announced a sequel maybe to Horizon Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn. But yeah, E3, it's interesting. It is really, because it's like, you know, it's honestly like a piece of childhood gone. Like that's like E3 was such like, it was the year in, year out. Like
it was like the, you know how Marvel does or Disney does the, whatever they do in the September, like the D23.
Yeah, right. It was their D23 for
DC
gaming.
fandom.
Yep.
Like it was that kind of thing where like you'd be locked into the computer onto like IGN or whatever the case may be, and you'd be locked in for
all day,
for days.
Interviews, like first gameplays, like all.
Then you have like your Microsoft showcase, which would be like 20 minutes, and then like PlayStation would do one, Nintendo would do one, but now it's just an antiquated kind of formula.
Yeah.
Because all these companies want their own kind of spotlight.
Right.
Like they want their own half hour to hour to break stuff down, and E3 couldn't grant them that.
Yeah.
So, you know, R.I.P.
to
kind
E3.
of because after this I don't foresee it making any type of return.
I think it's over
in the future. So
once PlayStation backs out, that's when you got to start getting a little nervous.
Yeah. So we have some MCU news. So the Fantastic Four movie is quietly kind of running into shape. So we have a new writer on board. So Josh Friedman, who has been oversaw the script for Avatar: Way of the Water, and has written fully written the script for Avatar 4, has been hired as the writer for Fantastic Four. Now you might be like, why does this matter? Well,
because family. That's why.
Because family, and people may not even be aware of this story, but some weeks back, months back now, when Avatar 2 was coming out, there was talk of these sequels, and one script in particular was the Avatar 4 script was submitted and returned back.
Well, he submitted all of them.
Yeah, and the Avatar 4 script came back with no editing notes. Which, as a writer myself, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, yep. For a Hollywood movie where the stakes, not the stakes of the movie itself, but the stakes of what the failure or success of this movie can do, like, somebody's probably going to have something to say. It's like a studio exec. The fact that they got no notes for that, like, you should feel proud of yourself, so.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so if you were excited for this Fantastic Four movie before, you should be now. But I think, it's what we talked about when we reviewed Avatar. One of the things that they got right is he started to tap in narratively, and that's what you need. That's what drives every story is a narrative. So it's just amazing to see that this kind of family dynamic is growing so strong in that universe. And then hopefully that translates right over to the Fantastic Four, because they are Marvel's first family. So yeah, I think they're going to get all those things right. No, I hope we don't get that cast until the first trailer. That would just be glorious.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't tell us.
Don't tell us. Just let us be surprised and let us be like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. Marvel we need to get back to that.
Yeah.
With Marvel in particular. Like I told you, I'm tired of the laying out of the plans.
Kang's gonna be the big bad. Uh-oh.
Yeah, see how that's working out for you right now. But yeah, like just give us 1 to 2 things like at a time. And you don't have to worry about it you don't have to worry about it. Just you guys can know. That's fine. You guys can know what your plan is, but you don't have to. We don't have to know. We're not entitled to know.
That's like if we knew that Spider-Man and Black Panther were going to be in Civil War, that it was
6 years before.
Yeah, and there was rumor. Not only that, I mean, scoop culture also has a part to play in all this.
For sure.
And it's changed since then. Like that's what people's whole job. I mean, that's always been some people's jobs, but now it's bigger than ever. So times do change.
Yeah, but hopefully we can swing the pendulum back in another.
The Penn Badgelium back.
Come on, man. in another direction. So I have titled this next section of the news Reboot Corner. Reboot Corner. Because, man, we got a
new segment alert.
For now. Yeah, it's probably just this week because we got a ton of...
On today's Hollywood, this just won't be this week.
That's probably true. But we got a ton of... it's just what it is.
That's the title of the Reboot Corner. It is what it is. That's
it is what it is. First and foremost, I guess we should talk about The Rock. Because this guy, he's self-sustaining now. He can't be stopped.
He's always been self-sustaining.
The XFL can't be stopped.
Yes, it can. AJ McCarron's in there. It actually can't be stopped.
Black Adam slaughtered Shazam in the box office, so...
That's not a difference.
He won that
probably
battle.
Make a movie tomorrow and make as close to what Shazam made.
He won that battle with Zachary Levi. So he has officially announced... He announced, because this is what happens.
Yep.
Not a Disney thing. He announced it. Moana is getting a live-action remake.
Where he's playing Maui.
Yep. He's going to play Maui again. The same actress who played Moana in the movie is going to be playing her in the movie.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Which is interesting. Because...
I don't know how this is going to be.
So I don't know how many years ago Moana came out.
Is he going to have the hair?
He's got it, right?
Or they just make him...
So 7 years after the original was released.
It's been 7 years since Moana was
2016,
released?
Yeah.
Jeez. That movie came out in 2016?
We got an announcement.
That just bugged me.
We're getting a live-action remake. Thoughts?
Unlike the Avatar 4 script, I do have notes. I mean, I'm not as mad as people are. There are people that are very upset about this, and I mean, this is Hollywood. This is it. This is as much as people want to complain or be upset that these projects are out, like Little Mermaid, Lion King. Let me teach you guys something. Guess what's runs Hollywood? Money. Guess what Moana made? Money. Guess what The Rock usually brings in? Money. That's all. That's it. At the end of the day, that's the discussion. So,
yeah, it is what it is. I mean, these things are just going to keep happening.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
This is just where we're at now. Until the returns start diminishing, these things are just going to keep happening.
Do you think the same thing I think, in the fact that I genuinely don't think people were going to be upset about this, but then Black Adam didn't make, Black Adam failed, and then the DCEU failed, and now people, whatever The Rock does from now on, people are going to be mad?
People are just annoyed about it? Yep. I guess.
I just don't feel like if this whole Black Adam thing didn't happen, I think people would have been okay.
I just think it's a different demographic. So I feel like people who are familiar with him for Black Adam are annoyed about it, but people who like Moana are not annoyed about it because they're kids.
As the great Dave Filoni once said, "You're messing with the thing I loved when I was a kid." And he's like, "What did you say?" "When I was a kid." And he's just like, "All right, then shut up, because it's not really for you."
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It is what it is.
I mean, he is Hawaiian himself.
Yeah, they're gonna do the songs, which is always my thing with the live action remakes. Yeah. Keep doing the songs.
Yeah, do the song. Keep the songs in Mulan. Keep the songs.
So what else do we got? Shrek 5 is happening.
See, that I'm okay with.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's just, it's the Toy Story thing.
The Shrek memes have been too out of hand over the last couple of years, where they're like, well, we can't not make a Shrek movie now, right?
Right.
I genuinely think that's the exact conversation that was had. They walked into the DreamsWorks thing and they're like, these Shrek memes are going out of hand. You guys want to make another one? They were like, I'll be there. And that was it.
Yeah.
That's Shrek. That's Shrek 5.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, they're going to get the cast back. It's going to be fine, probably. I don't know.
That Puss in Boots movie went stupid.
Right. So, and people were like, why do we need this?
Good versions of this?
And then it was the best animated movie of the year.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe Shrek 5's tried to capitalize on Puss in Boots' success. How about that? Mm-hmm. For a turn of events. The spin-off character that got his own movie has now resurrected the original franchise by which he was spun off from.
Delete.
That only Puss in Boots. Only the power of Antonio Banderas can pull that off. So, Harry Potter.
God.
HBO has apparently approached, I guess, J.K. Rowling about this. It would be a 7-season series.
What are we doing? Why are you announcing that it's going to be 7? Just say, if you're going to do it, just say, like, we're making a Harry Potter thing.
That would, obviously, each season would encompass one of the books.
Right.
Which, I mean, in a perfect world would be how it would work. But this, to me, doesn't work. This
is worse than the Lord of the Rings thing. Because the last movie came out in 2011. What are we doing?
Yeah, and they're
gonna have Bella Ramsey play Hermione.
My question about this is, I guess it's just like a larger question that I have with just reboots and remakes in general, is like, what are you gonna do differently that would be better than the first thing? Because ultimately, that's what's going to get you to stick around.
Let's take Percy Jackson, for example, a thing that I think is good, could possibly be better than the first thing. I mean, structurally, books play... Sometimes books play better, and book series play better as shows than movies.
Sure.
Obviously, Dune has benefited because the scale of Dune, I think, only can encompass, like, the big screen, right?
Right.
But, like, something like Percy Jackson, I think, is good for a TV show where kids need to grow up to get to the place. However, Harry Potter, I think, is in the Doom realm where the world is way too big to have in a TV show. Like, it's way too massive. Like, your writing needs to be so tight, and that's why, like, Game of Thrones worked, because Game of Thrones, people that didn't read the books didn't know what the heck it was, so they kind of had a fresh slate. You don't have a fresh slate this time. You have expectation this time.
And you have a live-action series of films that is arguably more well-revered than the book series by which it's based on.
Right. Which is rare.
Yeah, which is super rare. And it's, like I said, like, what are you going to do to differentiate from that? There's not a whole lot you can do because the movie was already based on the books. So if you're also basing the TV series based on the books, they're probably going to look the same. And
I just think they did this because the game was super successful.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing is...
Oh, Star Wars. They wanted more Harry Potter.
Yeah, but I think there's a way to do it without it being a retread of the movies.
Maybe it's almost like you just make something new.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, nothing that they've done new has been good.
Yeah.
Especially when J.K. Rowling is involved. I mean, I think...
You would think you would want to stay away from her at all costs.
Yeah, and I mean... You know, aside from everything that has to do with her abhorrent political beliefs, it feels like maybe I shouldn't be saying this because she's made billions of dollars, but it does feel like she's kind of like a one-trick pony when it comes to her writing. I'm not sure that there's any there with her, that this is why this property keeps getting retreaded, because that's all she's been able to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of her work post Harry Potter, but none of it's very good. Even the Harry Potter, the Wizarding World in itself is pretty bare bones. Aside from that core kind of story, like the world it's not Tolkien-esque, I guess is the best way I can put it. It's not a very vast, well explored world to the point where I feel like each of these books can be successfully told in a season of TV.
Yeah, like what do you do for what I'm assuming is going to be like 10 hours? Yeah, what do you do for 10 hours?
Yeah, exactly. Just them going to class.
Right, like
and I mean, you know, the other thing about the movies is that casting and those performances were unbelievable.
Yeah, like how do you and it's not just a person that was like, they were kids that we grew up with to get to the point of them being adults. And it's like, that's just one of the most rare things you could find from
an actor. And the adults too. I mean, how do you possibly cast someone as Hagrid that can outdo Robbie Coltrane? How do you get a Professor Snape that can outdo Alan Rickman? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. This just
How do you
feels
replace Harry? How do you replace Daniel
Radcliffe. Yeah,
as Harry? That's like a 9 possible job.
Yeah. So I mean, you're setting yourself up to kind of fail. You're setting up your actors to kind of fail
and get hate immediately, like these kids essentially.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't think it's a good idea. But we'll see. I guess it's gonna happen, and I mean, I guess the first season will kind of dictate the future of the series. Mm-hmm. And then the last one I have is a live action Lilo and Stitch, which we talked about. These Disney live action remakes are not slowing down. They're just not.
MONEY, money. Let's get some money in.
Yeah, until one of these bombs.
Because again, Twitter doesn't exist, so kids are actually going to go see these movies.
Yeah.
The families are going to see these movies. Whether you want them to or not, they're going to go see it, and it's going to make money. Yeah,
so, I mean, The Little Mermaid is going to be the next kind of litmus test. I expect that movie's going to do well.
I would say probably. I'm thinking,
the internet.
I think that movie's going to make 600 plus, probably.
I would say so, yeah.
And then I think the Lilo and Stitch might... I also think that Lilo and Stitch movie doesn't have to have the same, like, inaugural hate that, like, The Lion King and Mulan and, like, Little Mermaid has, too. I think it's going to get a little bit more leeway, too, which is going to help, so...
Ohana means family.
Bars.
How's that Stitch going to look in live action?
You jumped into my head and took my next sentence out. I'm, a little nervous.
Is he going to look like creepy? Creepy looking Stitch?
Little creepy guy running around?
Little creepy...
Yeah. Little creepy boy running around.
I don't know why I'm thinking like Bebo from Legends of Tomorrow in my head.
Is it gonna be like Grogu, or is it gonna be?
Is it gonna be like a puppet, or is it gonna be like the Weasel from Suicide Squad?
But Stitch isn't that big though. Stitch is like
he's a little guy.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
But he could still look. I don't know, those furry kind of gremlin looking creatures. Kind of, they can be unsettling.
Yeah, I don't know. Question.
They also have these questions.
There's
also a couple aliens in that.
Yeah. Yep.
There's the commander guy.
Yeah. There's
the scientist, the 2 scientists.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. I don't know how that's gonna look. We talked about John Wick last week. So the Ballerina spinoff starring Anna Armas is coming out next June.
Good. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I said this last week. It's so bizarre. Like, John Wick is such an anomaly in the movie-going world where, like, we're 4 movies in and people are like, I'll see more of this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is great. You want to spin off other characters? I'm in. I'm sold. Like, it's just entered that category of, like, it's rarefied air. Like, you don't really see this often in movies.
And I mean, acting-wise, I think this could be a bounce back for Anna Armas, and I think physically, because I said, good piece of acting is physical acting too. So I hope she's able to, bounce back from Blonde, and get a role where she's able to be physical and like you incorporate that action that we got in. If you even get like a fraction of the action we got in 4, then you're in for a success. So.
I liked her character in No Time to Die.
Yeah, too. When we create these categories, like. Ones like that is exactly what we mean by like a heat check performance. Like you come in and you make immediate impact to A, the plot, and B, like the movie going experience and how you feel about it. Like her character was immediate impact to the plot and immediate impact to us. So like that's a perfect heat check. So I think it was perfect. Like it was. I think she has the physical chops to do it too. I know she's been training, and I know it's like this cool thing where like you see the actors from the John Wick series training. It's always fun. So it's just one of the most dedicated action franchises that's really holding the action. It's really that and Mission Impossible, like on a non-superhero level, are really holding the action genre, like the credibility of the action genre up right now.
Yeah,
so.
And people are loving it. So that's obviously the most important thing.
And Top Gun, my bad.
Yeah, but we don't. Never
do a sequel to that Top Gun movie.
So that's kind of like a one and done movie.
Unless you need to do it in like 35 years, and that's how you do it.
Tom Cruise will still be there too.
Yeah.
He'll be like 100, but he'll still be there.
Yeah.
We have some Jason Momoa news.
Yeah.
Double barrel Jason Momoa news. So the first bit of news is Aquaman Lost Kingdom has been moved up to December 20th of this year.
I just think they're trying to get all their, like, because that's the last one.
Yeah.
I just think they're trying to get it. And like, once I think it's going to be 2023 is over, the DCEU is over. Like, 2024 and beyond, it's the DCU.
They moved it into the same week as Wonka.
Which, I mean, I think Wonka's going to play a little bit more as an indie movie anyway, so I don't think it's going to be...
What is that movie?
It's exactly what you think it is.
I know what it is, but...
It's a weird... I mean, Willy Wonka's a weird little fella.
It's a Wonka origin story.
Yeah, Wonka, it's like our Tiny Tim reboot that we're trying to get off the ground.
Where did he get those Oompa Loompas?
Were they sold in slave trade? We'll never know.
Or will we?
Or will we?
Where'd he get the hat?
Where'd he get the hat?
You think he'll get the hat at the end of the movie?
Oh, yeah, it's like getting, like, the hammer. Like, it's all, or the shield.
It'll be him standing in front of the chocolate factory, and he picks the hat up and puts it on, and he does the little skip into the
Is he gonna
chocolate
sing
factory.
the song?
Yeah. You think that'll be part of the movie, like him writing the lyrics to the Oompa Loompa songs?
Not the Oompa Loompa song. It is hilarious, though. Yeah, this movie's gonna be a little weird. Timothy Chalamet is gonna have a good 2 months. I'll tell you that much. From November to in December, gonna have a good time.
And then Aquaman, I don't know, man. The first one's fine.
The first one made $1 billion. Billion with a B dollars.
Yeah. The second one, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the Amber Heard thing hurts.
Doesn't help.
Doesn't help. The DCEU being dead does not help.
Nope.
What is the Flash movie? That movie's gonna I don't like that this is the thing that we're doing for all the, like, what is this? That's not a great problem to have.
No.
Like, it could be a good problem for some things, like the Umbrella Academy, like, ooh, what is this? But now it's like, what is this?
Yeah,
like,
what is this?
What is this? What is that? So I don't know.
And then the other bit of Jason Momoa news is he's going to be the star of the live-action Minecraft film coming out April 2024.
They're gonna make Minecraft cool.
Minecraft was always cool.
Yep.
Always was.
Always was.
I don't know how you do this in live action.
It's the. Are you doing it like Tetris? Of like the origin of it, or is this going to be an actual movie?
Is he going to be Steve the
Right.
Is he going to be Steve Minecraft?
Right. Exactly. Is he like an architect or something?
No, if you're going to make a guy an architect, you have to get The Rock. So he can be in that little brown outfit that he's always in. He was in that in Jumanji. He was in that in Rampage. Yeah, like what...
I don't know.
What does a Minecraft movie look like? Is he going to be swinging like a pickaxe?
Well,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
mining for materials?
is it going to play like Free Guy, like in Ready Player One, or is it going to play like Tetris? Like, is it going to be the origin of Minecraft?
I mean, if it's Jason Momoa, I don't think it's going to be that.
They're going to let him do the Minecraft.
He's going to be... I told you, he's going to be Steve Minecraft.
What if this is like just this massive, like, Interstellar-esque movie where he's just building to save the universe?
I mean, look...
Whenever you say "look," I know the greatest take is about to ensue. So go ahead.
If you want to get crazy giga-brained about this Mario movie apparently has a bonkers post-credit scene that I'm going to assume is a setup for Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, yep. I think you thinking what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah,
that Sonic's going to be in this post-credit scene.
That would be crazy. But Steve Minecraft from Minecraft is in Super Smash Brothers. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying.
Do you get Chris Pratt to be the live-action Super Mario, though? Or do you get Jason Momoa to be animated when he goes in the post-credit
that's what you
scene?
do that, actually. So I'm just saying.
This feels weird.
Minecraft might be a setup to further along the Smash Brothers cinematic universe. I'm just saying, don't rule it out. Otherwise, I don't know why you're making this.
Yeah.
And then lastly, before we get to these trailers, we have some Game of Thrones news. So House of the Dragon Season 2 is quickly approaching, and it's been since confirmed that it's going to be a reduced number of episodes from Season 1. So it's going to be 8 or 9, I think they said. So 1 or 2 less. I don't think that's a big a deal. I think people are a little alarmed.
And I don't know why, because...
because Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Game of Thrones.
Well, when we reviewed House of the Dragon, what was one of the things that we said? That... It was episode 4 or was it 6? There was an episode that, like, it felt the only one that was out of place in that show. And I mean, you cut that episode, you get to the exact length that we're going, and I think they understand that's exactly what happened.
People are just alarmed because the final season of Game of Thrones
People are alarmed at anything.
Because the final season of Game of Thrones was 6 episodes, and people were like, uh-oh. But I don't think it's that. I think the final season of Game of Thrones had a lot of problems.
And they got some juice going into the second season.
Yeah.
You listen to me, Vagar.
They're saying...
Mom, good news?
Good news, bad news?
Good news. We got the Baratheons. Bad news. I may have just started a world war.
Started a war. And then season 3 they think is definitely going to happen. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Still a lot of story to go. Mm-hmm. And then the other bit of news, which was interesting news, that HBO is in active discussions of doing a Aegon's Conquest prequel. So Aegon the Conqueror, obviously the first king of Westeros, kind of unified the kingdoms. It was the character that a bunch of people have already casted Henry Cavill for.
Mm-hmm. It's only because he played The Witcher. That's why. It's not fair.
So it would chronicle Aegon and his two sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya, and their conquering of Westeros, and him being the first king of the Iron Throne. That would be cool.
I think that would be super cool. I'm down for that.
That'd be awesome. I think it's the one story aside from Robert's Rebellion that everyone really wants to see.
Yep.
And Robert's Rebellion kind of comes with its own set of challenges if they ever wanted to do that. Namely, all of those characters we've seen.
Yeah, right.
Besides, we saw a little bit of Rhaegar Targaryen at the very, very end of Game of Thrones in flashbacks, but that would really be the only character that we didn't or haven't already seen. So I think Aegon's Conquest is probably a better idea because it's just a bunch of characters and that we haven't seen, and more dragons is always a good thing, and more fighting, which is ultimately what we're here for when we talk about Game of Thrones and the political intrigue and the incest.
God. we went in there for the political intrigue and for the fact that
we stayed for the incest.
No, we stayed for Matt Smith, which is, I guess, technically also staying for the incest.
Yeah.
Crap.
Matt Smith, man,
the GOAT.
How does it feel to be the greatest actor in the universe?
Yeah. Oh my God. We should just do an episode dedicated to solely Matt. He's going to be the first guest we get is going to be Matt Smith.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can keep his tongue. No need.
Remember that time he was the best actor in an entire episode and he didn't have a single line of dialogue?
Crazy. He's fighting the Crab King. It was nuts. God, I love that show so much.
It's so good.
I just won't listen to any slander on House of the Dragon. That's just so good.
It's great. It's really, really good.
The smirk. You want to talk about a heat check performance?
It's so good.
What's his name? Corlys?
Corlys' brother.
Yeah, Corlys' brother.
Vaemond
Velaryon. Dog. Heat check performance. If you thought that was Patty Constantine's episode, it actually was his episode.
Yeah, he walked on set that day and was like, I'm actually the main character.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk some trailers.
Yeah.
So we got
there's a really nice trailer parked out front. And if we go to go get an RV, that's another trailer we can get. Oh, you meant a movie
I meant movie trailers
Oh.
and TV trailers. One TV trailer. But yeah, like I said up top, we're contractually obligated to talk about the Barbie trailer first.
I paid Greta Gerwig some money, and I also paid Christopher Nolan some money, and now this is the...
Why are we paying them money to talk about their trailers?
For exposure?
I guess. How's that working out for us?
I don't know, man. Ask Chris Nolan.
But yeah, we got... this was, I guess, the first real Barbie trailer, because we got that weird Space Odyssey one.
The great, maybe one of the greatest trailers of all time.
But this was like the first, like, we saw people do some acting and we had some dialogue, and it looks magnificent.
It looks just over the top fun.
I told you, I asked this question before we started recording, could this be the modern day Grease? Like, in terms of, like, cultural impact?
You got, some points are being made, man. Could be right.
Because it just has this just...
Energy,
vibe. It's just... It's...
I mean, that comes down to who's making the thing. We talk about that all the time. It's not just about the actor in front of the screen. And it's not, maybe sometimes it's beyond just the director, but I mean, for the most part, it is the director and the creator of the whole thing. And I mean, Greta Gerwig feels like she has just an absolute handle on this, because this could get super tricky under anybody else's brain, but she just feels like she has an understanding for it. I think just Greta Gerwig's just a magnificent person and director, and you know, this is a product of that.
Yeah,
and the casting. It is this might be one of the best castings ever. Like, who else in the modern day would play Barbie besides Margot Robbie? Like, that is it. And same thing for Ryan Gosling. Is like, that's it. Like, there's nobody else I could think of.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's colorful. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what the plot of this movie is.
Well, they go to Earth, right?
It seems that way. I guess Will Ferrell is going to be the villain, quote unquote, as like some, I assume, like corporate CEO guy that like sees, I guess, Barbie come to life, and he's like, oh my god. Yeah, man, I totally agree with you about Greta Gerwig, and I mean, we've sung the praises of Ryan Coogler in the past as far as like being so young and doing what he's done. She's done the same thing, and she's only, I think, a couple years older than him.
Yeah.
I think she's like 39.
I think she's in her early 40s now, Greta Gerwig is, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me look this up. I'm looking it up. Hold on.
And I mean, Greta Gerwig, a big thing about her is she's 39. She's 39, so she's been in the industry for a while. I mean, I talked about one of my favorite movies of the 2010s is Frances Ha, which she starred in too. So she's been around this industry, but she kind of understands. And I mean, you go look at any behind the scenes or interviews that she does for Lady Bird. Like, that's the type of person you would want leading you on an artistic front. Like, it's perfect. Like, she has the same no a-hole rule on set, but it's just the environment is like, just put the art first, put the fun first, and put the reason why everybody wanted to step on the set first in the first place. So I think she understands all of those, and giving her a big franchise now, like this is what I think is the start of like a absolute. I mean, Lady Bird. I mean, she's an Oscar winner already, and she's not even in her 40s yet. So she's on the path to having like one of those like way memorable careers for a director.
Yeah, and this trailer is just it's great. It has some great humor in it. Like,
hi Barbie.
Hi Barbie.
Seemingly, it was a leading man.
He is.
He is a leading man.
Yeah, it's just this movie. This is the right kind of trailer. Like, it doesn't give anything away about like what the actual movie is.
You need feel. You need tonal feel of what this movie, and I think it understands that. Showcases all your actors, like this.
Most of them.
This crazy. If you thought, look, we were talking about Oppenheimer's cast. This Barbie cast was growing this whole time. This Barbie cast.
John Cena just got added to it.
Was that real?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was real. I imagine John Cena would also be a Ken.
Yeah.
He fits into this movie.
Or is he going to be the muscle for for Will Ferrell's character?
Maybe.
That would be even better.
He fits into this movie.
Yeah, he does.
If you ever seen him in obviously as Peacemaker, but also any of his kind of more comedic kind of performances, he's tremendous.
Yep.
So he fits right into this awkward comedy vibe, like this. I guess it's like an off-kilter comedy.
This is like it's like satire almost, but like not really though.
Maybe, I don't know.
I guess we'll know when they get to like Earth, like when they get to like the real world.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's, I guess, the whole thing for America Ferrera. Like, they turned real? I don't know.
It's so...
I just, like, the big thing for me is it's the casting of Barbie and Ken are just... For the 2010 people, like, it's just one of the best castings ever. Like I said, I genuinely can't think of any... Like, maybe you can give me a short list for other people to play Ken, but, like, for Barbie, there's no other Barbie in Hollywood than Margot Robbie.
Do you remember when Amy Schumer was supposed to be the lead of this movie?
Yeah.
Whew.
What kind of movie would that have been?
Woof. Dodge the bullet.
Dodge the bullet. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge Amy Schumer. All right, what's next?
Secret Invasion.
Yes.
So Marvel's back. You thought we wouldn't talk about a Marvel thing? Wrong.
Yeah, we're still shills at the end of the day.
So this is the much anticipated Nick Fury kind of centered espionage type of spy sitch, starring Skrulls. It looks pretty good.
Tonally understanding of itself. That's something that we've been calling out the last couple of weeks. And when we did that Marvel Phase 4 episode, you get Sam Jackson to be the main character or something, you better come bring your A game. And I think that's what they did. They brought their A game. It's like almost I mean, Winter Soldier's going to get the direct comparison to this, but I just think this, I hate to keep saying Andor, but this feels tonally closer. And I mean, the thing I told you is structure. That's the question in the room for these Marvel shows. So this is 6 episodes.
I think so.
6 episodes again. And I mean, I think this was made before like the whole 6-episode structure thing was called into question by everybody too. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that. But I just think might pull some of the best performances out of the post phase 4 and beyond.
Yeah. Like I told you when I saw this trailer, this show feels like what was kind of promised when the whole Disney Plus Marvel thing was even announced as like a thing. It looks big budget. It looks well shot. It looks really crisp. It looks really intense. So I have kind of high hopes for this. I think it's definitely, it feels like it's going to be maybe their most focused TV show that they've done to this point. I
just think Loki deserves all the credit for like focus of what your narrative is and still pulling these grand ideas. And that's what I think this is. This is going to have in terms of the Earth side of the Marvel universe where they're at right now in the MCU. I think this is going to be this is going to be the Loki of Earth. Like this is going to have such massive implications on everything. I mean, if I'm going to say 2 things that one thing I'm kind of nervous for is the villain problem that I talked about for the Disney Plus shows. Like, it's the fact that Secret Invasion, like, the villain is paranoia. That's the direct villain of Secret Invasion is the idea of being paranoid at any given time that these people that you could be, you've grown as brothers, sisters, allies could just immediately be anybody. Like they could just be this villainous antagonist person that could kill you at a moment's notice. So the other thing talked about before we hopped on, I'm a little nervous that this is not an Avengers movie. That's the only other thing that I can say is that I think, what did I say? It feels like if Infinity War was like if Infinity War was like a Disney Plus show, but like Adam Warlock was the main character, which he is, but like it just gets me, or if like Captain America was the main villain of like a Infinity Gauntlet Disney 6-episode Disney Plus show. Like Secret Invasion was like a massive thing, so that's the only thing I'm nervous for is like how do you justify having this as a TV show, like something like this? But this is the future of what Marvel's doing, and they've as they said, this is what we're doing. Like before, they said this is the structure. Kang's the big guy, so like we don't have time to make a Secret Invasion Avengers movie, so might as well give Nick Fury his flower. Nick
Fleury.
Nick Fleury. I'm gonna go to McDonald's and get a Nick Fleury. But time to give Nick Fury his flowers, and also hats off for the continuity between Captain Marvel and this too.
And it does feel like this could potentially segue somewhat into Captain Marvel, or the Marvels, I should say. It doesn't even have to necessarily. Yeah. It just might. I do like the idea that the reason Fury went to space is because he was like just kind of depressed. Like
essentially, yeah. Everything that he'd worked for what 40 years had been destroyed. God, the Winter Soldier's so good.
And like the Avengers are gone.
The Avengers are gone.
Like he built that whole thing.
And his superhero best friend is gone. Like everything that he knew was gone. So
Captain America's gone. Well, Steve Rogers is gone. All these people that he kind of knew and had. Natasha's gone. And he really wasn't there. Yeah,
Clint's a family man now. Like all these people that he was,
he missed it.
Yeah, he missed everything. Yeah.
So
I do think that was him at Tony's funeral, though. I think he did come back, but Ben Mendelsohn as Talos is the one that had taken over for a while. And if you're going to ask me who my heat check performance is probably going to be from this show, I think it is going to be Ben Mendelsohn. I mean, I could sing the praises of Ben Mendelsohn forever, but what Matt Smith is to you is what Ben Mendelsohn is to me. I adore Ben Mendelsohn as an actor. So, I think he's gonna do great. And we finally know who Emilia Clarke's playing. So if you watched Captain Marvel, you know that Talos had a daughter, and that's who she is. She's not Jessica Drew. She's not. What was the other one? Abigail Brand. What people thought? No, she's Gia from Captain Marvel. She's just Talos' daughter.
Yeah.
So, Cool.
Which is fine. I mean,
makes it a little narratively more tight, so you don't have to worry about much things.
A new character, yep. And,
Speaking of new characters, though, Olivia Colman's in this movie. Mm-hmm. Playing the descendant of Union Jack from the comic. You're Union Jack from Marvel Comics. So one of the Howling Commandos, the British one from Captain America, the first Captain America. What else was I supposed to say? There's one British one, so he's the one. She's playing a descendant of him, much like who was it? Trip from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a descendant of one of them, and then what's the other? And then Peter's principal is a descendant of another one, so cool to see the Howling Commandos lineage continues.
Howling Commandos continuity is in full effect.
It's strong.
Don Cheadle's in this.
He's a Skrull.
You think so?
Yep. He doesn't look anything like Terrence Howard.
Ah, man. Well, that's because Terrence Howard's going to be the new Kang after Jonathan Majors gets replaced.
Maybe we should do that every week. Who would be the best Kang possible?
The best Kang or the funniest Kang?
Oh, the funniest. So I don't care about who the best one would be. Because, like, a good one, like, I already told you what I think a good idea, like, if everything went according to plan, you have Denzel Washington be an older version of Kang. Oh my god, that would have been everything. But he would never do it.
No, he would not.
He made Book of Eli. He might do it. And he's going to call up his buddy old pal, Helen Mirren, and be like, how are these superhero projects treating you? And she's just like...
Helen Mirren's the narrator in the Barbie movie.
Perfect.
Kevin Hart?
It's because of the memes are running with him. Like, they're spreading like wildfire. It's crazy. Kevin Hart would be a funny Kang. Wood Harris is Kang. But he has to wear a basketball uniform. It's much funnier that way.
I'm tired of that, man. Get out of here, Kevin Hart. That fight would have looked much differently if it was Kevin Hart fighting Paul Rudd.
Hey, you gonna learn today.
Jack Black
is Kang. Who else would be great as Kang? Will Smith? He ironically and unironically would have probably been a decent Kang.
Yeah, he probably would have been.
Like, I only have one the only real choice I have is Yahya Abdul-Mateen, but, like, we can't take it seriously because we can't take anything seriously. So, who else would be a good Kang? LeBron?
Scott Eastwood?
Why Scott Eastwood of all people? Crazy. Troy Baker.
Gerard Butler?
He was born to play Kang. I do love give me Troy Baker as Kang. That's what I want.
Pedro Pascal?
Ooh, Ellie move.
Do you have anything else to say about Secret Invasion?
I mean,
Maria Hill's back?
Is she?
Yeah.
You heard this theory running around that Maria Hill never was a real person? Or she would have had to have been a real person.
What are you talking about? What?
She's been a Skrull this whole time.
No.
And, like, they just got a random woman in the 90s.
Not Kobe Smulders. She would never be a Skrull.
Yeah, she literally was a Skrull in Far From Home. Did you even watch the movie? This is the same thing if we want to go back to week 3 of the pod, when I said the thing about the ice, about what's his name, Bloodsport, maybe not having to be in prison, and then you're like, didn't he literally go to jail for shooting Superman? Because I thought morality-wise, he's not a horrible person. He's like, he literally went to jail for shooting Superman. I was like, oh, that's right. That's exactly what you just did. That was crazy.
I don't know, man. Do you think that's gonna, like, cloud this whole show as, like, people trying to figure out who's a Skrull? Is it gonna be like the Power Broker thing?
I think it's gonna be the Mephisto. I think it's gonna be the what's it called from WandaVision? The space engineer. Yeah, thing? It's the not Reed Richards.
Is it gonna be so, like, by the end of it, like, nobody's gonna be a Skrull? Like, all the Skrulls we know are just, like, the Skrulls, like, we just know them.
Yeah.
And then, like, everyone else is just... That could be. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's a great... I hope this show doesn't... I do think this might be one of the worst versions of it, too, for this show. Of, like, who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull.
It depends. Like, they might... If they don't lean into it, then people won't think about it as much.
But they didn't lean into any of the other things that we've talked about, but that's just what the internet does. They lean into things that just aren't... Like, the Power Broker one was played, but, like, the space engineer was... I mean, it was...
Well, that was also, we've talked about this with WandaVision, where, like, it was the first one, so, like, people's expectations were all over the place, but, like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier really leaned into that power broker
Because
thing.
of what, I mean, it gets you views, and I think that's what they were more concerned about.
And Loki kind of did it.
With
in
the
opposite way.
With the hero. But remember, they actually did it.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do what we thought, but then they did it, and we were like, oh my god.
Because we didn't think they were going to do it.
Right.
So it wasn't even, like, on the radar.
Right. I just thought it was going to be Richard E. Grant again.
So I feel like they didn't... I feel like with this, if they don't lean into, like, the idea of, like, you could be a Skrull, and you could be a Skrull, and you could be a Skrull, like, then people won't think about it as much. Like, if it's just, like, Ben Mendelsohn's a Skrull, Emilia Clarke's a Skrull, that's all you need to worry about. And then the what's his name that's in this?
Villain?
Yeah, he's a Skrull. We know he's a Skrull.
Yeah.
So...
But you can't do Secret Invasion without. They're gonna get somebody big. I think that's the whole thing. Like, one of the big ones is gonna turn out to be a Skrull, and I think it's Don Cheadle.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like they won't do that.
You think Don Cheadle? Just like, absolutely not.
I will never be a Skrull.
Yeah, I'm 56.
What does that have to do with anything?
It's a funny Kevin Hart. It's a funny Kang versus War Machine thing. When Kevin Hart becomes Kang.
When Kevin Hart becomes Kang.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle.
It's. I really like this.
Looks fun.
I look so fun. I'm just inherently happy whenever Zola Maridueña does anything now, so I'm in.
So yeah, we got first, kind of look at what this movie is going to be. It's your classic accidental hero story.
Basically. Accidental teen hero.
Yeah. Which can work.
It's worked in the last couple of years. I mean, on television, it's worked with Stargirl and and like on the big screen, it's worked with, 3 Spider-Man. It's worked with, Tom Holland's the young looking one, so it's worked with him. And yeah, like I said, you get Zola Maridueña, who essentially is going to be young Antonio Banderas. It's a bold claim. But yeah, I think he's fantastic. He just brings a lot of that youthful exuberance that you're looking for out of a role like this. And now he doesn't have to be bogged down with an adult having to take half of his screen time.
Yep.
And yeah, I think the cast too that's supporting him. You get George Lopez in here. That's great. It's the first Latino led superhero movie ever, which is amazing. So this trailer did it. Like, this trailer hit all the beats that you'd want it to hit. And then also the extracurricular. So the action looks tight. Like, the action looked not a lot of shaky cam, throw, cut, punch, cut. Like,
he got a hallway scene?
Yeah, just give them the hallway scene. Oh, you know what? One thing I love? The fact that his family knows right out of the gate. I love the, obviously the outside world secret identity, but
that's a good subversion
I love it. I think it's such a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. The suit looks good.
Yeah, suit looks great. Practical for when they could, but we saw the set photos of him in the suit, so thank God they gave him an actual suit. I think that helps immensely too. You don't gotta worry about some CGI bits with that. Green Lantern.
And then the story seems pretty straightforward. So
yep,
we have
Susan Sarandon's here.
Yep, as Victoria Cord.
Ted Cord's sister.
Again, we don't have a Ted Cord.
Do we?
I hope that's like the running gag across like all DC media.
Just Ted Cord's an uncastable character.
We just mention him and mention his company, but we never actually see him.
Ted Cord. Since Arrow season episode 1, we've mentioned Ted Cord. They mixed the opportunity in the Arrowverse to have Zach Braff be Ted Cord.
Yeah,
it was the easiest layup casting ever.
But yeah, I just think that would be funny.
But I do think the rumor's true that Jason Sudeikis is Ted Cord. I do think it will come true. So I'm there for it. I just don't think you get this movie without having, the most famous Ted Cord. They got murked before Infinite Crisis.
He's got a Beetle-mobile.
Well, that's where
Beetle
what's his name came from The Watchmen. Why can't I remember? Owlman. That's where Owlman came from, is from Blue Beetle. So Blue Beetle's got a pretty rich comic history too. One thing about these trailers that I love is that they link the comic that you need to read before the movie. I think that's outstanding marketing. And we saw it with with Supergirl. You couldn't buy the Woman of Tomorrow comic like the day after James Gunn did that thing. Like, you couldn't buy Swamp Thing, you couldn't buy All-Star Superman, you couldn't buy any of it right the day after. So I think that's awesome, getting people ready for these movies. And getting people familiar on the source material, I think, is pretty cool. So.
Yeah, we got... What else did we get in the show? We got basically a look at, like, what the Scarab can do.
Mm-hmm. It's a world destroyer, so that's important. And I don't think they're going to play into any of that stuff in the first one. I think they're going to save that for the sequel, because I wonder if the DCU is going to... I think the DCU is going to use this character, like... What is the Flash movie? What's it resetting? I don't think it's... I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe it's just one of those things that, like, he screws around in the Flashpoint universe, and, like, it's basically what happens. He gets back and, like, things... Like, it's... Like, he doesn't reset anything, but he gets back and, like, things are different.
Oh, like, a lot of things are going to be different.
Yeah.
Like, Superman's not going to be a thing yet.
Yeah.
But I think what they should do in the end of I think he should run himself out of existence in the end of the Flash movie.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Get him out of here.
So I think that's what's going to happen. Barry's going to run himself out of existence, and then, like...
Thank God.
New 52, or, like, post-crisis is what this is going to be. Like, so now, like... The Scarab comes to Earth, but it's like Jaime Reyes is there for... I don't know, man. Ask James Gunn. I don't know, man.
Yeah, we got... I know a goddamn Buster Sword when I see one in this trailer.
Shout out Cloud Strife. Go. It's not like I'm looking at, like, 8 different versions of Cloud Strife to my left.
I was like, yeah, I'm here for this. Don't tell me Final Fantasy VII isn't mainstream. Mm-hmm. So then this man made a Buster Sword at the end of this trailer. He said,
what's he say? He should have said it's bussin' time.
the classic Final Fantasy line. Yeah, it's I like that aspect of the character. Like, the Scarab can make anything that you think of.
Yeah,
and he's like, yeah, I'm a teen, a young adult kid. I'm gonna make the coolest friggin' thing I can think of. Like, that's what I always never got from, like. It's always been my issue with Green Lantern, historically, is, like, he can make anything that he wants, and he's like, big boxing glove.
Well, I mean, that was the thing, because, like, Hal Jordan is, like, a... not practicality, but, like, he's only at, like, the access of, like, a 35-year-old male, as, like, Kyle Rayner's, like, a 22-year-old artist, like, art student, so, like, Kyle Rayner, like, was making anything and everything, so... But, like, I mean, even comics-wise, like, Green Lantern and Blue Beetle, like, the Scarab, like, race, the Reach butt heads a lot, too, like, they don't like each other, so...
You say the Scarab in the ring?
Yeah, they're beefing.
That's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
And they're just like, how long for the ride? So we did speak to James Gunn. Not personally, but... We heard from him, and he talked about the superhero fatigue, which has been a buzz phrase that's been thrown around for, I don't know, 15 years.
That phrase was probably thrown around when the second X-Men movie came out. They were like,
are we done with these?
Yeah, jeez.
No, turns out
no. Bourne movies.
So he kind of addressed that, and he was like, it's not superhero fatigue per se, but, like, people want kind of more out of them, and I think that's probably fair.
Because, like, you think about the bar, like, we've seen the bar be set, and then the bar be surpassed, and then the bar gets set again, and then the bar gets surpassed. Like, it's like world records for the Olympics, right? They keep getting broken, and they keep getting broken, and it's just like, what's the next thing that's going to get broken? And, like, none of these things can seem to figure it out, but it's not that they can't seem to figure it out. It's like, this, you know where they're at? They're at, like, remember when Michael Jordan retired, but before LeBron was in the league? That's where they're at right now, in my opinion. Like, there's not the thing right now. Like, the thing that was driving the bus, which was the MCU was the one that was driving the bus for so long. You get guys that are, like, can be the ones that kind of take the reins, but nobody was sticking. Like, the DCEU was there for a little bit that could have had the reins, and then you failed. And then these other projects couldn't get to the hypes. They're like a early second round draft pick that turns into an all-star, but they're not a great best player in the league potential. So that's where I think they're at right now. It's like they're trying to find who the next thing will be. And it could come from James Gunn's DCU. Like, that's where it could come from. But I think this is, stepping away from the comparisons, I think this is more of like this is a quality control conversation, in my opinion. That's exactly what I think this is. Like, it's just funny, like, within the same universe, you get a movie like Dark Phoenix and you get a movie like Logan. Like, why is there that much variation in quality of project? Like,
Marvel's going through that.
Marvel's going through that right now. Like, you see, and then like it doesn't help that you see movies like Avatar, and you're just like, and then you see movies like John Wick, and you're like, but you guys are supposed to have the money. Like, you guys are supposed to have the money and the talent to do all these things, but, like, continually you're not doing those. And, like, the high point, like, they reached the height of anything you can get in a theater. And then somehow they got near close, if not the same thing, with Spider-Man No Way Home. So, like, what more do you do after that?
Yeah, and the variance is we talked about this before, like, the variance is, like, what bothers me the most, because you can do this, like, you can do, you know, an Avengers Infinity War, you could do Spider-Man No Way Home, you could do Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but then you also give us Thor Love and Thunder, and you give us Ant-Man Quantumania, and like, why the variance? Like, all of your projects should be treated equally, and I feel like sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
I mean, I think it's prioritizing is off. And I think your narrative doesn't stay, like, what are we working towards? Like, instead of me being told what we're working towards, how about you show me? But I think this is like, the CGI doesn't blow anybody away anymore. Like, and somebody made a point. I don't think it ever blew. I think people were just not used to it at the point. So, like, when you were getting your 2 Marvel movies a year, like, you were so locked. There was no shows that were interjecting. Like, they deaded Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be a show that was interjecting with everything. Like, they didn't care about that. They were like, all right, you're getting 2, maybe 3 movies a year, but everybody's going to be in the theater. And I think it's the train, too. Like, the train was so strong running that, like, you couldn't stop it for anything.
Yeah.
And, like, the quality of the projects from, like, 2014... to like 2021 or 2019, strong. Like, you're pulling a Black Panther movie, you're pulling the reboot of Thor in like the 3rd Thor movie, like revitalizing the character.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 2 Avengers movies, which are probably in a lot of people's top 10 comic book movies of all time. Like, you're having so many projects, like you're bringing Spider-Man back into the fold for all this, like. And then if you step outside the MCU, you look at Logan, like, you get movies like Logan that are, like, you know, so hard to come by. Like, you're seeing quality, but, like, there's no consistency in the quality. It's too much of a wave, so... I think you're right. Like, it's not fatigue, but it is, like... It's probably this tiredness of, like, where's the cinema? I think that could be a conversation, too. Like, where's the movie making in this?
Yeah, fatigue to me would represent, like... a box office drop off like across the board, but it doesn't seem to be that, because like I said, No Way Home is one of the most successful films ever. Black Panther Wakanda Forever made almost $1 billion. Like, people are seeing it's not so cut and dry anymore that I think it might have been a few years ago, where like they're seeing it just to see it because it's like a new thing. Now I think people are starting to kind of fine tune their radar a bit to like only seeing things that are good. You know, the general public, because like nerds, we're still gonna see these movies whether or not they're good or bad. Like, that's that.
But that's a thing that also hurts you too, because if the nerds are mad at the thing you make, like, they're gonna drive the bus of hate. Like, it's not the general audience that will. Like, the general audience is probably a whole lot more forgiving, but it's turned from like a general audience, and then the superhero genre has taken the nerds out of the comics and out of like the lore, and they put them in movies, and they were like, okay, well, if one of us doesn't like this and 100 of us don't like it, and then 1,000, then it's like, now it's a group of hate surrounding this.
Yeah. And, you know, it just comes back to, you know, who are these movies for? I think Shazam had that problem, and I think that bore itself out. At the box office, I don't think that movie really knew who it was for. Not to mention that it was not marketed well at all. And, you know, I have a similar concern with this Blue Beetle thing. Like, I don't know if this movie knows who it's for. I think that trailer was really strong. I think it can hook a younger audience. It can definitely hook a Latino audience for sure. It's going to hook, again, the core nerds, the core group. They're going to see it because they're just...
The Blue Beetle fans. The Blue Beetle fan.
The one fan. So they'll see that. And then... that's like your launch point, and then the quality of the movie is going to dictate the future kind of success of it. So we'll see. And the last trailer that we have to talk about is a trailer and a movie that I have absolutely no reservations about. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, obviously the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, maybe the greatest...
Careful.
One of the greatest superhero movies of all time. One of the greatest animated movies of all time.
With the receipts from the Oscars to back it up.
And this trailer captured everything about that first movie that everyone really loved.
And then some.
Yeah. It seems to still be gonna be the standard bearer for animation.
It changed animation, the first one did. Like, you look on Netflix, Kid Cudi's movie that he made last year, like, takes the same animation. Like,
Puss in Boots did it?
Puss in Boots did it. Like, they're taking this animation, like, the comic way of kind of, you know, ingraining, like, the dots that make up the larger thing you're trying to draw. Like, they're all starting to incorporate that. And just, like, the style of motion, too, it's changed. Like, this is like the biggest change since Pixar. Like, it truthfully is. So, it's awesome. But I mean, the most important thing, this story is just, it's incredible. It's a character driven story, but it's an odyssey. Those, in my opinion, are the best stories you can ask for. That's why I love Interstellar so much. That's why it's my favorite movie. It's because of that fact. Like, it is a character driven story about a cowboy on a ranch trying to protect his family, but then he goes on, I mean, the biggest odyssey to try to save the universe.
Yeah.
The story's much like that, and you find that this is the good multiversal type of story. Like, it's just this kid that's dealing with, you know, it's this kid dealing with the fact that he's now a superhero, and, you know, he lost his uncle too, but now he knows, like, I mean, the theme that you get in Into the Spider-Verse is incredible. Like, this is my story. Like, this is me. I'm Miles Morales. This is my story. And with great power comes great trailers.
Yeah, this trailer was they went back to the well. Mm-hmm. What's Up, Danger? They were like, should we get another song? And they're like, nah.
Or they're holding whatever new songs for the movie itself.
Nah, just use the same song.
Use the same song.
House of the Dragon learned that. Just do the same thing. Same song, same everything. Just keep it. It's fine. Yeah, and we get kind of a look at Miles's day-to-day. He's struggling with that superhero real-life balance.
It's funny that I was watching Spider-Man 2 yesterday. It's like the beginning of Spider-Man 2. Like, I can't go to school and be Spider-Man at the same... Or Homecoming does this really well. Like, I'm going to school, but there's a guy robbing a store right behind me, so I probably should go take care of that. Then I gotta go to my mom's party at the same time, but then my lover from another universe comes. Like, there's too much to juggle right now.
Yeah. We got a quick look at the Spot. Doing Spot things?
Yeah, he's probably a one-off villain. That won't mean anything. Voiced by Jason Schwartzman.
Yep. So, yeah, we have that. And then we kind of get, like, the kind of draw of the movie of Gwen visiting him and being like, come on to another universe and come talk to my friend Miguel. That's
exactly what they said in Cobra Kai. Come talk to my friend Miguel.
Bad idea, as it turns out, because Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 that we saw at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, none too happy to see Miles Morales. Mm-hmm. Why? We don't know why.
Do you want to theorize on that now?
Yeah.
I think it's because he needs his father to die, and like that's the crux of becoming a Spider-Man. And like the little nerd from Earth 199999 and his buddy Doctor Strange, that line threw me for a loop. I did not think they were going to take that swing in a trailer of anything too. So maybe it's a Nexus event type of thing. Like if Miles' dad doesn't die, then he can't, like, the universe is going to start to implode upon itself, which could create an incursion. That would be pretty interesting. So Miguel says, what if we all tried to kill Miles Morales? Wouldn't that be a grand?
Yeah, it's interesting because it doesn't feel like it has anything to do with what happened in the first one, because all these spider people are very comfortable being with each other. So it's not like a clashing of timelines or universes, because it just seems to be focused on Miles inherently, which is interesting. And we got a bunch of other...
Jeez, we can't even sit here and name them.
No.
I mean, just a couple. Spider-Punk, voiced by Daniel Kaluuya. That's going to be fun. We got Peter B. Parker's back, voiced by Nick Johnson, and then his daughter, Mayday Parker from the comic. You're Mayday Parker from Marvel Comics. She's in this. Obviously, we get Haley Steinfeld back as Gwen Stacy. Spider-Punk. It's not Spider-Punk. Spider-Gwen.
Yep.
We got to work on the name.
We got
Ben Reilly.
Yep, we got to look at Scarlet Spider.
Scarlet
which is cool.
Spider. Yep, and then we got PS4 Spider-Man. We got Spider-Man India. Oh God, we got the Velocity. Like, there's so many Spider-Man in here. It's crazy.
Karan Sony again.
Yeah.
So he was in two news items this week.
Yep.
Yeah, man. We got we saw, and then I mean, that kind of Spider-Man Nexus shot was just like a freeze frame heaven. Like, you got the bombastic Bagman was in there. Future Foundation Spider-Man was in there. Man, there was so many. We had the kind of like golden white Spider-Man. We had a couple of the armored Spider people, like the Mark 1, Mark 2 armored Spider-Man.
When he lost his spider sense, yep. We got the original PS1 Spider-Man in there.
Yeah, yep. And then, I mean, there's ones that we didn't see that we know are in this. The Japanese Spider-Man is in this. We saw Spider Cop.
Spider Cop, yep.
We saw the Iron Spider, obviously. Just so many. We had a therapist Spider-Man.
That was interviewing another Spider-Man.
So, I mean, that's what this is going to... and then, for those of you who didn't see the international trailer, was featured voiceover intros from Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. So...
Very interesting.
And you mentioned that Tom Holland's Spider-Man got name dropped in the trailer specifically. So,
but specifically with Doctor Strange. So the events of Spider-Man No Way Home have rippling effects. It seems like throughout the multiverse. So it feels like Miguel O'Hara. That's what seems like the main antagonist at this point. Spider-Man 2099. Obviously. Malcolm X, the future, he was leading the charge of the 2099 comic. Who's your favorite 2099 character?
Punisher.
Yep. He's ruthless. If you thought like 616, like normal year Punisher was crazy, yeah, don't run into that 2099 Punisher. You'll die. Heaps of people will die. So Miguel O'Hara's doesn't. It almost looks like they bring him here so he can't leave. Almost like they bring him into like the hut or what the lobby she called it.
Yeah,
like he goes to the lobby so he can't leave. Like they make sure, hey, he can't leave so he can't. What, in my opinion, what I'm thinking it is like he can't destroy, like he can't cause an incursion in his universe because he refuses to let his father die. So. What if Miles is like saving his father from like near death instances the whole time and he just can't put two and two together? And they were like, man, can you just let him die? Oh, it's like Tommy Lee Jones from when he was Two-Face. Will you just die?
Yeah, it definitely seems like
Tommy Lee Jones is Kang. There we go.
Ooh, he was already in the MCU though.
So?
I'm not kissing you.
Says the Ravonna Renslayer. I'm not kissing you.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Miguel O'Hara is set up as like the antagonist, and he's definitely built like an antagonist because he is huge.
Yeah, he's a unit. He's prime Derrick Henry, actually.
So it'll be interesting how that kind of plays out and how the Spot fits into all this.
Like I said, I think the Spot's gonna have to deal more with like instead of being like a universe portal, because in the comic Spot gets like he gets its power from like the same what does he experiment on like Cloak from Cloak and Dagger, like the dimension that he's from, and then the rifts like latch onto his body essentially. He's like a joke villain in the comics, but he's like stupid powerful. I think that's going to be the case but I think it's going to be a multiversal lens. Like they're just going to push him off, and he's going to be this joke until like he turns into like the thing that's destroying the entire multiverse for the spiders.
And it's also possible that this movie has sort of a cliffhanger ending, because we do know that this is a part 1 of 2. The second movie was renamed Beyond the Spider-Verse, but these two films go hand in hand. So it's entirely possible that we don't get a resolution at the end of this movie.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to just... Either you think they're just going to be a movie after Beyond, or you think they're going to do a trilogy?
I feel like it could just be a trilogy.
Yeah.
I feel like because by the time you get the third movie, I feel like Miles will be ready for live action stuff.
Oh yeah, and then Tom Holland will start to train whatever that new kid will be.
Yeah.
which is interesting. So the only reason I say that is because the villains of the Spider-Verse comic, like the famous Spider-Verse comic that got all these characters together, the Inheritors, that's the elephant in the room that I just wanted to address, because it would be interesting if they were the villains of Beyond the Spider-Verse. Like, this is like all these things, they got all these imagine like you do this work in this movie, like you make it known, like there's, all right, it's not just the 5 that we saw in Into the Spider-Verse, like there's thousands of Spider-Man across the or there's, I mean, an infinite number of Spider-Man across the multiverse, but like the Inheritors are just like start picking them off one at a time, and you're just like, uh-oh, like now we can be killed this easily, like this is not good, we need to form a team. And I just think it's the perfect way if you were to get Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland in, to like get them in animation and get them with Shameik Moore as Miles Morales. Like, I think that would be perfect. Like, you get all of them together to fight, like, you know, the spider, you do the spider totem thing, you do the Inheritor thing, and then you have a good old time. It's not good old time because a lot of spider people are dying, but
yeah, no, I think that is totally a possibility. And you know, like I said, this is a movie that I have absolutely no reservations with. That first one, you know, earned enough good graces that I fully trust this movie to go as ambitious as it seems to be going and be pulled off.
Yeah. Man, they really... Miguel really hates Miles. Jeez.
You can't be in our group.
You can't be in our group, kid.
What do you mean by that?
Get out of here.
And that's kind of it. Kind of the recap of the last week. There's a lot of news. Like we said, those big 4 trailers. Which of these 4 projects are you most excited for?
I'm just wrong for saying this because... It's too easy to say Into the Spider-Verse, so it's Secret Invasion. Sorry. My brain just melted. It's Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's the one I'm most excited for. I just love the feel of Blue Beetle. Like, I just feel like the comic lore is great. Like, I went down like a huge DC rabbit hole yesterday when I got home, so I was just like, I was flipping through some comics. I was flipping through some crises because DC can't help themselves but have a crisis every year. And then just kind of, you know, Jaime Reyes as well as a character I think is super interesting. And then the relationship that he kind of has to the DC universe, and then kind of Ted Kord's universe too. Ted Kord, like, he has one of the most, like, that death was like, it's so well handled in the lead up to Infinite Crisis, where like you're like, all right, well, Max Lord's just this business guy that's good, he's not a bad guy, and then he just shoots him in the head, and it's just like, oh, you're my favorite character, Ted Kord. Like, that frame of the comic is insane. So I think even beyond that, I think Blue Beetle has a pretty solid history, and then him and Booster Gold's history, like, we almost got the movie with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum as Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. Like, Blue Beetle, I think, has a lot to do, and I think that's a big thing about these DC characters in general. Like, I don't think people get, like, we've in live action scratched the surface of the DC like potential. Like, if you think the Marvel lore is deep, like the DC lore is like going back to the 30s, like the late 30s till now, not the 60s till now. So they have so much of what they can pull from, and I do think how's it go, the DC solo outings, even in live action and in the comics, are usually great, and the DC events are usually big. They're large. They're large in scope, scale. So, this is just a good sign of like DC storytelling and like the lore that you bring with it. Yeah,
that's a good pick. I'm just gonna say Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That first movie was a just absolute experience. Walking out of that theater being like, was that like the best movie I've ever seen? So it's definitely a high bar. It's definitely just an incredible visual spectacle on top of, like you said, being an incredible story. That first movie has some really, really, really touching moments, and I just expect the second movie to double down on all that stuff. Definitely intrigued by Secret Invasion. Like I said, I think it has like a big feel to it, and I don't know if that's like because it's Sam Jackson and they're like, all right, Sam Jackson's in this one, we gotta make it good. Or if, you know, they genuinely are really trying to maybe use Secret Invasion as a conduit for like, hey, we're getting ready to kind of make these TV shows feel bigger than maybe they have. And then Barbie is just...
Christopher Nolan, you got 24 hours.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what this
that
movie
day
looks
is
like.
gonna be nuts.
Yeah.
Like, as like a person that loves like movies and like, you know, the outside world of movies, like that day is gonna be something.
Yeah. So
If you don't think we're seeing both in the same day, you're just wrong.
yeah, it's gonna be. Still haven't quite figured out.
Maybe they cross over. Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Barbie made the nuclear weapon and like Oppenheimer stole it from her. That's a way better plot to the movie, actually.
This Barbie's a nuclear physicist.
The posters for the Barbie movie were also incredible.
They were also great. Yeah, it's it's I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm excited to find out. That's the show.
That's the show. There were no real trailers in here, which I didn't like. I didn't have like a walk-in closet in any of these trailers. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Next week, Mario.
Yeah. It is Mario week. Yeah.
It is Mario week. So that's going to be our next episode. We'll do a full review and breakdown of the Super Mario movie, which very excited for.
The one with John Leguizamo, right?
Nope.
Oh.
Not that one.
Well, actually, I'm not doing it then. I refuse.
It's the sequel to that. To that movie. Actually. Yeah, it's I'm expecting a fun time, I think, with this movie. The cast seems really engaged.
Yeah, yep.
Which I know a lot of people were concerned. But I think it's going to be fine. People forget that Chris Pratt is a pretty dang good voice actor. I mean, the Lego movie is the prime example of that. He's really great in that series of movies. So, yeah. Other than that, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. What's the social media?
Social media. You can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. You can follow us on Facebook. New episodes posted every Wednesday or Thursday, depending on the week, on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you may find your favorite podcasts, including ours. We hope we hope we're one of your favorites.
Yep.
You follow us on Instagram
At the Project Infinite Pod.
And feels like we're getting into probably a pretty busy period of
It's time.
stuff. So
I think we said it in like January when we did The Last of Us and the first 2 episodes of the year. I think we said once April hits, it's gonna be nonstop, and like we said that without equating for trailers that are dropping, news, casting, all these things that are gonna go on too. So
it all starts with Mario.
All starts with Mario.
Mario.
Yep.
Everyone's favorite plumber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. So from me,
You got a lot of things you can go off, but careful though.
I mean, it's the Ken of the podcast. This
Okay.
Ken's a podcast, so
This kid's a podcast host.
I'm also Ken.
He's also Ken. They called Will Smith.
Is Barbie gonna be the best multiverse movie of the year?
Holy crap. Marvel can't do the MCU can't do multiverse the way that Sony can, and it also can't do multiverse the way that Barbie can. I'm getting a little bit concerned. Man.
We got different Barbies.
Yep.
We got different Kens. It's a multiverse.
Yep. There's variants of them.
There's variants. I want Margot Robbie Barbie to do the He Who Remains line at the end. If you think I'm evil,
Wait till you see my
my variants. Hi, Barbie.
It's so
Margot
good.
Robbie should be Kang, actually.
Oh my god, Margot Robbie. But she has to do the New Jersey accent when she's Kang.
Yeah, that's her kind of go-to, isn't it?
I think so.
As an American accent.
Yeah.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
Because she did it in Wolf of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
She did it in Suicide Squad. She's doing it in this.
Yeah.
She did it in...
Babylon?
Did it in Babylon?
Oh, it's a little different in Babylon, but
She did it in the Tarantino movie?
No, she was Sharon Stone in that movie. Not Sharon Stone, she was
Sharon Stone.
not Sharon Stone, she was what's her name?
Yeah.
Freaking you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
They got killed by
She was murdered.
by that cultist.
Except in the movie where they just changed it.
Right, yeah. Good job, Tarantino.
So yeah. Oh man, Margot Robbie is Kang. That'd be great. Will Ferrell is Kang, actually.
Yeah. That would be wonderful. Robert De Niro is... No, Al Pacino is Kang.
Robert De Niro's in that one movie coming out.
Oh, remember that? Yeah, remember when So when we went to go see John Wick, there was two types of trailers. There was either a rom-com movie or or like a not a dark comedy, but like an adult comedy movie with your favorite actors from the past.
Yeah.
Or it was straight horror movies. There was no in between. That was the only variation of trailers that we got in that.
Because we got the Russell Crowe movie.
The Russell Crowe, where he's like an exorcist pope superhero.
yeah, that is accurate.
That Evil Dead Rise trailer got me. That trailer was scary as heck, man. That movie's gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's already being getting rave reviews.
Yeah, and then you're right. Then we got that Robert De Niro comedy,
Sebastian Maniscalco movie.
Yeah,
cool.
De Niro, man, he's untouchable.
They cooked a peacock.
Yeah.
Why did De Niro say? Yeah, you know what? Sebastian Maniscalco's good people.
I guess that must be the reason.
Once either Pacino, Pesci, or De Niro do a superhero movie, the world's gonna change forever. Cinema's gonna change. Martin Scorsese's actually gonna jump off a building if that happens.
Oof.
Well, Timothée Chalamet's never doing a superhero movie, so
right.
by the advice of Martin Scorsese, so.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week for some Mario. It's me, Mario.
You don't think we're gonna get some jokes off next week?
Oh, this is gonna be an all timer. Yeah. We're gonna have so much fun.
Now I'm excited for this post credit scene. I am an MCU shill. Oh no.
What if it's The Rock? What if The Rock's in the post credit scene?
No. It's gonna be Sonic from the Sonic movies.
That would be crazy. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be awesome. What if we do Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games?
I can't wait. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Peace.